Hey guys, my name is Frank. I'm one of the certified pool operators here at Skim-A-Round. We've been getting a lot of questions on our technical support line regarding pool maintenance in general. So whether you're a Skim-A-Round owner or not, we want to do everything we can to help you with your pool maintenance questions. That's why we decided to launch Skim-A-Round Pool School. The Pool School series will be a collection of tutorial videos detailing everything from your pool filter cleaning to pool water chemistry. We're going to start this series off with a tutorial video on how to clean your filter cartridge. We will demonstrate 4 different filter types. So let's get started. Now that we're outside and we're going to get started cleaning some filters, just wanted to go over with you when is a good time to actually clean your filter. So on top of all of these cartridge filters, there'll be a pressure gauge that looks similar to this. Okay, and after you clean your filter, you're gonna turn the system back on, and the gauge is gonna read a certain PSI. So let's say you just cleaned your filter and the pressure on this gauge is at 10 pounds. Now throughout the course of the month, 30 days, 45 days or so, the pressure is gonna slowly climb up. When your pressure gets 10 to 12 pounds higher than your last cleaning, it's time to clean again. Our first filter that we're going to clean in this series is a Pentair Clean and Clear filter. As I'll mention in just about every segment, it's always important to make sure that the filter is turned off before you take your filter apart and bleed the air out of the bleeder valve. Okay, once the air is being released out of the valve, on this filter I have 2 locks that hold my lock ring in place. So I'm going to simply squeeze those and turn. Once you pass the lock, it just unscrews easy. The lock comes off, and then I'm going to pull the lid off. The lid sometimes on this particular filter will be a little sticky, so I'm just going to pry it off. Okay? Put that there. And then it has a handle on the top here. I'm just going to lift it out and put it to the side. Alright, let's go hose it down. You'll see on the end of this garden hose here I have a cone-shaped tip. These work really well. They give a nice stream of pressure out. And I'm basically just going to hose the whole cartridge down around the whole thing. Okay, now that I've hosed the filter off, I'm going to go ahead and put it back in. But what I do want to mention is this filter is getting a little worn out. So the pleats are getting a little soft, a little flimsy. The support bands are okay, but we're still a little flimsy. So we'll return back to this pool in the near future, and we'll do a video on how to replace this cartridge, because this particular cartridge has to come off this center cylinder. So we'll return at a later date and go over that with you, but for now we're going to put it back together and start it back up again. I do want to mention that this filter, it does matter the way it goes back in. There's actually, it tells me right on here, align with filter inlet. So this has to go in a specific way, otherwise the lid's not going to fit. So I'm going to put this in, and just to demonstrate, I'm going to put it in the wrong way, and you'll see that the filter's a little higher than it should be. As I rotate it and put it where it wants me to put it, it sinks down further in. Very important on this filter that you align it properly. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put the lid back on. I'm going to push down on this one until the lid is seated all the way around. It'll make it easier for me to put the lock ring back on. The lock ring, I'm just going to tighten it until I hear it lock into these tabs that we had to push in to unthread it. Okay, you hear that lock? Now I cannot turn the ring unless I was to squeeze these again. So that's it, we're going to turn the filter on and bleed the air out. As you can see, as soon as the air is released and water starts coming out, I'll lock that air bleeder down and make sure I'm not leaking any water. That completes the cleaning of the cartridge filter on a Pentair Clean and Clear filter. Now I'm going to show you how to clean the filter in a Stay-Rite Posey flow. Okay, first thing you want to make sure is that you always turn the filter pump off before you start taking the filter apart. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open my bleeder valve in case there's any air in there. That'll help release pressure so when I take the belly band off, it doesn't fly off on me. So as it's draining the air out, I'm going to loosen the belly band. It's counterclockwise. This is it. Okay. Once that's released, you can just let that fall like that. And now we're going to separate the two parts of the tank. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just slide back and forth the top until I release all the air out and pull that up. As you can see, this filter's pretty dirty. Just take two hands and pull this straight out and put it to the side and let the water drain out of it. Now I'm going to take this over by the garden hose and I'm going to give this a good rinsing. Alright, so I'm going to simply just hose this down with my garden hose. As you can see, I have a cone-shaped nozzle which really gives out a nice spray, a nice direct spray to the filter. Alright, as you can see, looks a lot cleaner. It's also lighter because all the dirt is inside the element is pushed out of there. So now I'm going to go ahead and put it back in and put it back together. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put the cartridge back in. The orange on this particular filter is the bottom. It actually is labeled on the top here, top. So you'll want to make sure you put it in the right direction. So with the top facing up, there's a groove in the bottom of the filter that the hole fits over. So I ensure that I'm in properly. Then I'm simply going to take the top, line it up with the bottom half of the canister, and then I'm going to put my belly band back on. Okay, and as you can see, the belly band is kind of grooved to fit right over the actual two pieces of the tank, and start tightening her up. As tight as I can before I'm really forcing it. And then what I like to do is take a pair of channel locks or a screwdriver. I just like to tap it around it as I'm tightening. And what that does is it helps me tighten the nut without putting a pair of channel locks on the nut and doing damage to it. So I'm just going to tap around a couple times. Keep doing that. You'll notice I did not tighten the bleeder valve yet. I want to start the filter and I want to bleed the air out before I tighten the bleeder nut. I like to keep my hand over it so I don't get soaking wet. Now that I got all the air out and I started to see water come out, I can now close the bleeder valve all the way. And that is a complete cleaning of a cartridge on a Stay-Rite Posey flow. In the last segment, we cleaned a Posey Flow filter, which is an older style Stay-Rite. In this segment, we're going to clean a Posey Clear, which is your newer style filter. So as usual, whenever we're going to take a filter apart, we make sure the pump is turned off. Okay, the first thing we always want to do is open the bleeder valve in case there's any air in there trapped, we release it. On this particular filter, there is a lock in the back. So I'm going to push the lock in before I start unturning. When we put the filter back together, I'll show you more detail about the lock. So I'm just simply going to push that lock in, start turning. Once I break free from the lock, I can just simply unturn counterclockwise until the lid comes completely off. Okay, I'm just going to put this to the side and pull the cartridge out. Alright, so now I've been all the way around the filter at least twice. You can see the difference, how clean it looks. Again, feels a little lighter than before I started. So we'll head over to the filter and we'll put it back together. I'm going to make sure I put it in with the top facing up. And I'm going to go over the bleeder stem through the center of the cartridge here. So this white bleeder stem is going to go through the center and push down. Okay? I'm going to take my top again and reverse from the last time. I'm going to put it on clockwise until I get past the lock, and then we'll show you what the lock looks like on the other side. Okay, this is the lock that I am mentioning here, and there is a spot in the ring itself that as I tighten it, it locks into place just like that. So I can't unturn it, otherwise it would get caught. That's how you'll know that this lock is all the way down, the ring is all the way down and locked in. Okay, so now that it's all back together, my bleeder valve is still open. I'm going to go ahead and turn the filter back on, and let's bleed the air out. Okay, we're starting to catch a prime now. I can hear air coming out. I'm going to wait for it to spit some water out. Lock it down, and we have another filter cartridge clean and complete. See you at the next one. Okay, in this segment we're going to show you how to clean a Hayward C1200 filter. As always, when doing any cartridge filter and you're going to clean it, you want to make sure the pump is off, and I want to start by bleeding out the air in the tank. Okay, as the air is bleeding, I'm going to start to unthread the top half of the tank. On the Hayward C1200s or the C-Series filters, as you unthread the top nut, the tank actually starts to separate from itself. Okay, and when you get to a point where it's loose enough, you'll just be able to lift it up. Right here, you're going to notice that there's a little white cone-shaped piece in the center here. That belongs underneath here in the lid, which when I pull the filter out, I'm going to reinsert that, and I'll show you how that's done. So I'm going to start pulling the filter up and out. And I'm going to take this cone piece and put this back in here. And basically what this is, it's a guide so that when you want to put the top back on, it pushes the threaded rod right into place for you. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and take the filter over to the hose, and we're going to clean it off. Okay, so as in other segments, I have my cone-shaped nozzle tip on the end of my hose. I'm going to simply just hose this cartridge down. Alright. Again, once again, it's turned to a nice white color and a little bit lighter, so let's go put it in. I want to get this air bleeder tube and the stem through the center of the cartridge. Okay, secure it down nice and tight, and we're going to put the lid back on. Alright, so remember the cone we put in there to help us guide it in place. Slide that over and just tighten the lid. You want to make sure that you don't pinch the O-ring in here as you're tightening it, so go slow and just check on your O-ring from time to time and make sure that you're not pinching it, otherwise it will leak when you turn it on. I'm going to help guide it in. And it looks like we got it pretty well tight all the way around. Just make sure we're snug. And that's it. So now we're going to turn the filter back on, and we're going to bleed the air out, and we'll be complete. Okay, that's it. We've just cleaned the Hayward C1200 cartridge filter. Thank you for watching Lesson 1 of Skim-A-Round Pool School. This is just the beginning. We're here to help you with any questions you have about your swimming pool. If you have a specific tutorial you'd like to see, comment below. And don't forget to subscribe. We will see you in the next one.